Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's comes at us from Mobius, Get Up by Clipping. Let's dive into this then. This comes off of their album titled Clipping. Got 3 minutes of music ahead of us. Let's see what they're bringing to the table today.
Game don't wait. Heavy, wait. Eyes heavy, but it's time to grind. Motherfucker can't be late. Hold up, wait. Fucking 9 to 5, push work state to state. Shit. No work, no food, still eating off paper plates. Banana clip is a paperweight, paper mate. Tally how you married to the game. She fucking everybody, but you still put a ring on it. Keep it 100, homies. Homies where the homies got your back. Get your backpack, get back to the block, bring it back to the block. Shit, slinging crack, beats cracks in the sack, I really got, but the Glock cock back, lay another body flat.
Here when they turn on the street lights, hustle till they cut 'em off, that's the street life. Got the chrome on my hip and a bird for sale. That's how I get mine, that's how I get it.
Hustling is a habit, so they say. This is for the G's who wasn't tripping and never knew any other way. Other ways of getting money, not many do not require a degree of separation from the street you getting paid in which the degree of difficulty is extraordinarily high. And she high while doing it, so see why somebody who isn't from it might not understand how you body a body. In other words, and still a gram is a gram and nobody is Instagramming. They chillin' on Cypress Hill and they still is squeezing the hammers. Police is beyond the scanners, these some obsequious bandits and brandishing flags of function. You fuck a figure, it's fashion that flash on a motherfucker. You fucking seeing the passion, forgetting the hunger. This is jungle, time to get active and crack it so acrobatic it'll flip in the set. The set's up in no second guessing, hearing the street people sweating for the money.
We hear when they turn on the street lights, hustle till they cut 'em off, that's the street life. Got the chrome on my hip and a bird for sale. That's how I get mine, that's how I get it.
No time for wifey's babies or other collateral damage. Checking for snitches, they be the ones order tacos in Spanish. Always thinking that they blending in, but then sending them telegrams to the rollers they bitches. Not meaning feminine, meaning fuck it, ain't no explaining. Get a fuck up and push cocaine. All these fuckers go sleep all day, but if you suck up and step up on these bucks. Knock if you lacing up, then Chucks, no Taylor ganging. This shit is grimy and dirty, close thinking while you slanging. Get about to the black top, backpack for the crack rock. Take stock of the cops and spot with a knocking neighborhood watch. Watch him, learn the code. If them eyes are closed, that mean he's sleeping on his feet and been out in the cold. And if he flashing the gold, he either knew or want action and got back up on the toes. Study all of your fractions, get up on the honor roll. Roll the marijuana, then flip the hoodie up and get ghost.
Here when they turn on the street lights, hustle till they cut 'em off, that's the street life. Got the chrome on my hip and a bird for sale. Yeah. And if you try to take this spot, better think twice. This ain't playtime, you're fucking with my life. I'ma do what I gotta do to get my mail. I gotta get mine, I gotta get it.
Short preface here before we get to an incredibly short musical analysis. I suppose different people suggest songs for different reasons. Sometimes the intention is clear. A phenomenal passage in a track or something incredibly unique. Maybe it's just something they think I'm going to enjoy. I don't know why this was presented to me, and that doesn't mean that there's nothing worth talking about here. I just don't know that I'm the right person for this. Maybe I'm becoming a more right person for this. We just did check out an entire Clipping album a couple of weeks ago, maybe a few weeks ago at this point, and also minimal on the musical side, and I quite enjoyed digging into the lyrics on it. I did enjoy this track, but my expertise is musical analysis, talking about the rhythmic, harmonic, and melodic qualities of music. there's just not a lot to go on here. And so I'm kind of curious. Again, it's not a bad thing. I'm going to enjoy talking about this. I'm sure the lyrical part is going to be very fun, as always with clipping. But this is going to be a short musical discussion, which is my bread and butter. So let's get into this. There is an alarm clock sound, and it is very, very annoying. I do think it's rather interesting when they end up presumably pitch shifting it, duplicating it, creating chords out of an alarm clock. And I do think that there is something bordering on spiritual empowerment that we see at the very end of the song as we put some sort of non-alarm bassy sound underneath it. It creates a floor for this chord, this alarm chord that we haven't really heard elsewhere. Now, for all I know, this is just a really pitched down version of the alarm, and that probably makes sense given that the other 99% of this track is that chord, is that alarm. But regardless of what it comes from, it does create a floor for the expressive chords above it to soar above. I find that interesting, to take a single annoying sound and transform it into something spiritual, guiding, powerful, soaring. There is strength gained from the chords at the end of the track, and they're presented through something. Well, I keep using the term annoying, and that sound is, to me, it's also like the quintessential 90s alarm clock sound. But I also just find the sound to be a bit shrill as well. There are certainly softer alarm tones that could have been chosen. That one has a lot of high-end elements to it, and kind of built within itself is dissonance. The sound itself has warble and clashing sounds to it. There's destruction in the sound itself. I'm not a big fan of that sound, and for it to be transformed into something interesting, I think is very well done. I was a little concerned at the first chorus because I think it was the second chord we heard from it was incredibly tense, but we ended up pushing the song into more palatable harmonic directions while still using this, well, the other word I want to use is mundane sound, to create something larger than life out of something mundane. There is certainly some element of perspective shifting, recontextualization, and growth, expansion, evolution in this track as we develop the alarm into something great. I'm not sure how that's supposed to be interpreted, but I do see that pattern in here. Whatever direction they decide to take it, I would not be surprised to find the lyrics to be about growth, expansion, and evolution in some way, shape, or form. The other thing that I think is worth bringing up here quite quickly is production. I mean, the alarm sound grows over the course of this song, sounding just like a microphone on an alarm clock at the beginning of the track, and by the end it is this monstrous sound. Even ignoring the chordal work in that final verse, it is growing, it's reverberating, it is bigger than it ever was. It continues to spill out into the sides of the track, which it doesn't at the beginning of the song. Aside from the chordal work, it has its own type of growth too. The vocals also shift all over the place. They're focused most of the time, but specific syllables with the pattern that I didn't pick up on, but I'm sure is there, get split out to the sides, but these are almost split-second things. Just words just bouncing out to the side and coming back into the center, as if for a single syllable on some of these quicker runs, the voice has a duality to it, no longer a singular presence, but one that surrounds you, a duality of sorts, not a schism or a friction or a clash, but something working together in two. Again, I picked up no pattern on why or when this would be chosen, what syllables, parts of a beat. The lyrics go by in a blur, so I couldn't pick up anything there. This is definitely something to have the lyrics pulled up and maybe run the song at like half speed and try to figure out where each of these stresses come and figure out if there's a musical pattern or a lyrical pattern that would help understand why those are chosen. But it is an interesting sonic experience for my attention to be honed in on this one thing, because other than the voice, there's only an alarm and I'm trying my best to ignore that. And the one thing I'm trying to focus on keeps moving around. That is a wild experience. There's also the clean vocal singing that we have in the choruses that just adds nice contrast to the rapped parts. I don't have much to read into that on a thematic or artistic level, but I do enjoy its inclusion, and it also brings the chords with it, which gives us the, I guess in a sense, more of the alarm, but also less of the alarm simultaneously. And maybe that's another reason I enjoyed the choruses, as a bit of reprieve from this annoying sound. The song is called Get Up though, and having an alarm here does line up with that. That's my musical analysis though. I suppose it is fairly deep given that it's just an alarm sound. But yeah, super short. Let's dive into some lyrics. All right. On the surface level, it's a pretty straightforward story here about a drug dealer who works the 9 to 5 grind, though not necessarily 9 at the daytime, and they're just trying to get by. They have no other opportunity for work. There's presumably some sort of possible jail time on their record that makes it difficult for them to get a job. It says that this person is often high while they're doing this as well, and it talks about some of the dangers that they have and some of the ways that they have to understand the work environment, the people that they're dealing to, the people in their surroundings, and trying to understand how all of this works. That much like any other workplace, it has its own idiosyncrasies to it. But that at the end of the day, they're in this to make their money. They have to do it to get by, and they're missing some other aspects of life because they are so work oriented. That is the entirety of this song. The hook says, "Here when they turn on the street lights, hustle till they cut 'em off, that's the street life, got the chrome on my hip and a bird for sale, that's how I get mine, that's how I get it." This idea that when the lights go off is when this person's job starts. They go out there, they deal the drugs, they get their money, and they have a gun on their hip for their own safety. And that's how they live. That's how they get their money to afford living. Verse 2 talks about this being the only way they can do this. It says, "Hustling is a habit, so they say. This is for the G's who wasn't tripping and never knew any other way. Other ways of getting money that do not require a degree of separation from the streets that you get paid in." Basically saying that this song is about the people who work the streets because there's no other avenue for them anymore. Society has sort of turned it back to them because they have done this previously. It's one of those things that once you've done it, it sort of leaves a mark on your record and makes it more difficult to get into more traditional society, get a traditional job, all those kinds of things. And now it's the only thing left for them to do. That is pretty much the entirety of this track. It also talks about how this person isn't living large though. It says that they have no food, they're still eating off of paper plates. Talks about him being married to the game. Basically their entire life is just work. And at the very end, it says, "If you try to take this spot, better think twice. This ain't playtime, you're fucking with my life. I'm gonna do what I gotta do to get mine." Basically saying that this is all I've got in my life. Don't try to take it from me, because if I lose this, I have nothing else. And he says, "This isn't playtime. This isn't, fun for me. This is work. This is how I gotta live." That's it. That's the entirety of this song. Now, granted, there is a lot more to it. There's probably a good 50 lines to this track, but a lot of it reinforces those core themes. Now, verse 3, just listening to it, phenomenal. The articulation and the quick delivery throughout this, the rhythmic change-ups, that is a masterclass in rap delivery. But as usual, I want to point out a really cool section for rhyme schemes and flow. And for this one, I want to look at verse 1. What I really love about this is it presents someone who's waking up and incorporates this diegetically into the vocal performance. It starts out, says, game don't wait. So, you know, work doesn't wait for anyone. You got to get out there. You got to get to work. The alarm's going off. It's time to get up. But then he says, heavy, wait. It says, eyes heavy, but it's time to grind. Can't be late. Hold up, wait. Fucking 9 to 5, push work state to state. Shit. Each of these little, like, wrapping up phrases at the end of these lines was more spoken word than rapped, almost as if it was conversational. And I wanted to bring it up, but I had completely forgotten about it as I realized the alarm was the only thing present, and that had dominated a bit of my understanding of the music at the beginning of this track. I was waiting for it to evolve to something, and then it never did. It was the alarm. But I really like this because it presents the grogginess of waking up almost as if, the rapping is a part of living function. And if he was awake, the rapping would be continuous and perfect, but it isn't. It gets interrupted with spoken word, as if he forgot the word or doesn't have the energy to get to that next word or is kind of stumbling through it. He has to tell himself, dude, my eyes are heavy, but I got to get up. We got to get through this. As if, he's recording the song while still groggy from waking up. And I really like that concept of interjecting this performance into it. But we also have this section right here. It says fucking 9 to 5, push work state to state. This long A sound has been introduced already with game, don't wait. But we also have the long I sound, time to grind, 9 to 5. Right before that, we have can't be late. So we have late and state to state. Then it says no work, no food, still eating off of paper plates. Banana clip is a paper weight, paper mate. Tell them how you're married to the game. From here, we start pushing into a light I sound that we got off of, I believe, clip, as we talk about how the game is fucking everyone, but you still put a ring on it. This takes us into keeping it 100 for the homies. Home is where the homies. Home is where the homies got your back. Get your backpack. Get back to the block. Bring it back to the block. Like, it's so good at introducing alliteration and rhyme schemes in the vowels and presenting them almost as foreshadowing to lock into later, and allowing all of this to just flow so smoothly. Yes, the rhythmic delivery is an aspect of that, and making sure that the different flows work well together. But I think the reason that all of it sounds like it just flows right off the tongue is because of this hyper focus on how words start, the beginning sound, but also the rhyme from the vowel that comes through, and finding ways to just intermix all of this into something that works. And it blows my mind that people can find these non-linguistic components and put them together in a way that still makes sense in language. Like, the story is still told phenomenally well, but it's also on the second level of very specific syllabic choices. I don't know, dude. Rappers, I've always had a really big appreciation for them, but David's definitely, I think, one of my favorites in just the way that he presents everything so intricately, but so clearly. Once again, it's about walking that fine line. There probably are more intricate rappers than him, probably more intricate wordsmiths, but It's that fine line between digestibility and complexity. It's like a good prog track that is also fun to listen to. I think that's where David sits for me as rappers go. These are my thoughts on Get Up from Clipping, featuring, who's the vocalist? Mariel Joconda was the vocalist for the chorus. What did you think of this? Is there anything that stood out to you? Was it the alarm clock? That stood out to me. Is there anything that you want to add on to what I said or correct me on? Do you have a different take, perspective, or opinion on this? Let me know. Put that down into the comment section below, along with anything else you'd like to add. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. Takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could like, subscribe, and ring the bell, I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening. I couldn't remember that second one. It was like, what comes after morning? Morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.